Trey Kaufman-Renn did an off-season interview with goldenblack.com. Shout out to goldenblack.com for the video. I encourage everybody to go watch it on YouTube. And he talked about a few things specifically that he is working on skill-wise to get ready for next year. He also took this interview seemingly from like a barn. Did you see this? You saw this interview, right?
Of course I did. Come on now.
Yeah,
I
what
don't.
is he?
I don't. Yeah, I don't miss a TKR moment.
Is this like the Kaufman Wren's own barn? Like what barn is he in?
So TKR is like an Indiana kid. There's always I think the last number I saw the last time there was some market research on this was I think 42% of Indiana kids either own or have access to barns
Or were born in a barn?
or were born in a barn. That
Well,
that number's a little bit lower.
this barn looks nice for what it's worth. I've never been like a big barn guy. I've never like had a craving to be in a barn, but I see this barn with like
Oh,
glass
wait, Greg,
backlit.
I recognize this barn.
Where is it?
Purdue fans told us about this. This is like an Airbnb joint, I think. You
This is
can rent
not
it.
that Airbnb.
Are
No.
you sure, bro?
I mean, I
It
guess
might be.
I'm not sure, but why would TKR be at that Airbnb doing this interview?
Well, maybe there's like a package where like if you spend like an extra $37 a night, you can get ones with TKR.
So we think in the offseason, TKR is either selling himself as an add-on through Airbnb and or purchasing Purdue themed Airbnbs to just like go hang in a Purdue special place.
Yeah, like dog, can you imagine the market for like ones with TKR as well as staying in it? Maybe he's got an Airbnb NIL deal in the works.
Honestly, that's not crazy. Yeah, you could sell like a Braden Smith getaway package. Like,
Yeah, it'd be incredible.
this is a good idea. Hummel, we're open. We're here to consult, Hummel. Okay, well, that would be hilarious if true, and I kind of buy that it actually might be true because one of my main takeaways from this video, TKR is an interesting cat, man. He's an interesting guy. He's a thoughtful individual, is how I would put it. And he kind of speaks like a philosophy student at all times. And
Yeah.
I mean that in an endearing way. I don't mean to like criticize. It's just like he doesn't talk like a college basketball player at all, you know?
Yeah, he doesn't. And it's not even negative like you said. It's like it had me going on a deep dive. Has anyone ever asked if TKR thinks the world's flat?
I think there's a few things I'd want to ask him if I could. But also like I was joking about this in the Purdue thread last night. Like not sure TKR's the guy you want to like go to a bar with or go to dinner with. Like I feel like, you go to a bar with Fletcher and Fletcher's just like your typical frat star college student, I think. Go to a bar with Braden, I think Braden might be like, "Yo, can I bring like my high school boys with me?" And then be kind of quiet, but you'd be like, "Yeah, for sure. That's cool." You ask TKR to go to a bar and I don't know what he would do. He'd keep me on my toes. He might order like a hibiscus strawberry drink, you know?
I think he'd recommend like a speakeasy or like a cocktail bar.
He'd be like, "Do you want to come to the speakeasy?" And then he would own the speakeasy.
Yeah, he would be playing what's that? A
No.
cello. A cello.
He would say, "Can we go to the speakeasy?" We'd be like, "Yeah." And then we'd show up and he's just reading in the corner. We'd be like, "TKR, do you want anything?" He'd be like, "Oh, I don't drink. I just love to read here."
And he's
Like
going to
that.
he heads to the bathroom, right? And he's like, oh, then all of a sudden you see him on the stage. He's like, oh, yeah, so Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm actually in this ragtime band, and like I'm the lead cello brother.
Yeah. Anyways,
And
very
also like 20-9 on a nightly basis. Like you can't beat it.
you can't beat him. I called him the Bill Nye with a drop step last night. That's what he reminds me of listening to him. And again, all meant in an endearing way. Anytime TKR steps behind a microphone, it's a good time for Purdue fans and college basketball fans in general. Anywho, this is like a 5 minute, 6 minute video. And I will be honest with you, this is not meant as any disrespect to goldenblack.com. They did a great job getting this. In fact, they pressed forward through this interview way better than I would have. I would have like curled up in a ball and started crying. They asked him like 7 times, like, "So what are you working on? Like, how's the offseason going?" And TKR gave them nothing. Like just straight up go girl, give them nothing. He talked in circles in the most philosophically way to say nothing. And then finally, on like the seventh question, the question asker was just like, what specifically skill wise have you done? And TKR finally was like, well, I'm actually adding some threes. I'm actually working on step in 3 point shots because I think I'm going to get a lot of those. And I know it's a shot that I need to make this year. So that got my attention because TKR wants to shoot threes. That's what I'm pulling out of this interview. Do you think that's real? Slash, do you think that's a good thing for Purdue basketball?
I'm gonna say not necessarily because I want to stay kind of consistent on what I said on other videos. I think here's how I look at it. Would it unlock something for TKR and Purdue if he is able to do some step in threes? Of course, right? Like that's a given. But if I'm looking as I'm the defensive team, I got TKR shooting threes, I won. I got TKR not touching the paint. I won. I'll take that. If TKR is gonna go Mason Gillis on the court, not behind the wheel, and hit a bunch of threes in one game, like I'm gonna feel good about. I'll live with that. You know what I'm saying? I'll give TKR a fist bump, and that's all good and well. It's a win for the defense if TKR is not catching it on the block. But at the same time, him being able to be a threat from out there would do something. But it's my biggest pet peeve in basketball. Sometimes I'm not saying I don't want players to improve their skills and show what they can do. But it's also a win for the defense if TKR is not getting a post touch or getting it on the block. But I don't know. It's a weird medium to kind of be in. Um, but yeah, that really does nothing for me, I guess, to answer the question. Like hearing that TKR is working on step in threes.
I think it's good if he's working on it, and I do buy that he's working on it, partially because, Card, you are well aware of this. What is the most fun thing to shoot when you're like in a barn with a basketball hoop in it?
Threes.
Threes. You're not like in there working on drop steps for hours. Like you can be. I'm sure he
Well,
has, but
but not to be like critical of this, but like I think threes would be the second basketball skill that I would work on if I was TKR. Maybe third.
what would be the first?
I think a left-handed post move would be my first one.
He's
A
got
counter.
some of that though.
He
He's
does he
got some of
does he
that.
does he does. But I think he could be. I think he could have like. I think his left hand is good enough where he could use it more, in my opinion. Even though the right hand works, like you said. But like I would more so maybe lock in on having like a go-to or like a maybe another left-handed counter before I get to like shooting three pointers.
So he started with 3 point shooting, but he kind of, I don't know, paralleled it into just shooting in general. And I think at one point he did mention free throws in this. My thing would be if you're going to work on shooting, the number one thing TKR needs to shoot better with his free throws. He doesn't need to be a prolific 3 point shooter to have a great season like he did last year. He needs to shoot better than 65% from the free throw line. Get into the 70s, 75%, and all of a sudden you're scoring 24 a game instead of 20 a game. Hack at TKR became a thing at times last year. But I do think, like, again, like all things TKR, anytime he talks, it is truly very intentional and very thoughtful in what he says. And I do think this gives you a little bit of a reveal on how Purdue's going to play next year and how TKR is viewing his role. Because he basically said, like, yeah, I'm not going to have to play the five as much. That was last year. It was what it was. But like with who we got coming in, with the personnel changes, with Oscar Clough, with Daniel Jacobson, they don't need me at the five. I'm going to be playing the four. And when I play the four, I'm on the perimeter more. I shot more three. He didn't say this, but it's real. He shot more threes his freshman and sophomore year than he did his junior year. In his junior year, he played double the minutes and was the featured option. So you can understand why, though, right? Because Zach Edey was in the paint and he needed to space the floor. And I do think that's going to be an element of this Purdue team. Like you've got Oscar Clough on the floor. Obviously, when Daniel Jacobson's in, if he's healthy, it could flip because Daniel Jacobson's a guy that can shoot as well. But if Clough's going to be the starting center on this team, TKR is going to have to do a little more on the perimeter. And I think this is a first little hint that maybe that's been talked about behind the scenes. Not necessarily like, hey, TKR, we need you to shoot a ton of threes, but like you've got to be a threat. You are going to be more perimeter oriented this year to make room for this 6'11" center that we're bringing in to play a lot of minutes at the five. And again, that's a great thing for Purdue. It is going to require TKR to diversify his game a little bit, and I think it's a good thing that he is starting right there.
Yeah, I think so too. And look, TKR is gonna be like a first team All American next year, right? And I that's gonna happen. And he's a player who has improved, so you can't deny the work and the working on his game. I think his work and the results speak for themselves. Um, but I'm just gonna lean on this win for the defense if TKR is shooting threes.
Yeah.
We'll take we'll take that.
Yeah, fair. He
Yeah.
did also mention one thing that didn't make sense to me as he was talking like role changes and stuff. He was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be needed in like role wise. Like, there's gonna be an opportunity for me to rebound more next year." I was like, "Huh? Didn't we bring in Oscar Clough so you don't have to rebound as much because you weren't great at it last year?"
I was gonna say also, was there not an opportunity for you to grab rebounds last year?
They desperately needed you to grab more rebounds last year, and it
Yeah,
always
like
happened.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask you one last thing?
Yes.
Uh, because it like seems so long ago, this had me thinking too. Like TKR is he like naturally gonna space out more given that he is gonna play with a true center at all times, which he didn't last year?
Well, I think it's something he's comfortable with because he's done it with Edie, right? So maybe.
Right. But we saw what he looked like with Edie. It was a lot different than what he looked like without, obviously, you know what I'm saying? Like he was
I
he
don't
was
think
just on
that's
the block
fair.
so much more when he was the five.
Yeah, but I don't think that's fair. I think TKR still looked pretty good. He had some loud moments even in games with Edie, but like we're
Yeah,
literally
sure.
talking about the best post scorer of a generation. Like it he was the fifth guy at all times. We don't know what TKR looks like on the perimeter, but still as the first or second guy. And we'll see that next year. I'm honestly optimistic for it because I just think TKR is a hard cover no matter where he is. And you're right. If he's shooting like four threes a game, that's subjectively a win for the defense. But my guess would be like he gets to put the ball on the floor a little more. I think he's got a sneaky good handle. I think he's got sneaky good passing stuff. I think we'll see a diversified version of the way TKR scores, and that's probably a good thing for Purdue.
Sounds good. TKR, come on the channel too, by the way. I'd like to do like the GQ 10 things, 10 essentials. I want to do TKR's 10 essentials on Sleepers Media channel.
Any guesses to what those would be?
Um, I feel like he has one notebook that he's had for like 10 years that has everything in it. Everything. Ideas, thoughts, reasons he hates things. Like those are all in a Purdue black notebook.
He's such an interesting human being. He really is. It's like I don't know how to describe it.
I want to see his Apple Music profile.
I don't think he listens to music.
You know,
I think he listens to audiobooks when he's like in warm-ups.
or like white noise before the games.
It could be that. I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just interesting.